is Pizza Day. So head on down to the cafeteria to grab yourself a hot slice.
Hey guys, thank you for tuning in. We got our special guest today, Forlorn Creature, not associated with Forlorn Foundry. I've gotten this question like 5 times now.
Hello.
And if you guys don't know who Forlorn Creature is, why don't you give yourself a little intro of what you do, Thomas?
Yeah, so I'm Forlorn Creature. Like we said, not associated with Forlorn Foundry. Just complete coincidence that we both made SCP content and have Forlorn in the name.
It's a sick word, dude.
So mainly on the internet, I'm a Lego animator. So I have a YouTube channel, Forlorn Creature, that I've been running for probably 8-9 years, almost 10, something like that. I've made some SCP Lego animated shorts. Most people will probably know The Janitor. Before that, I used to do a lot of Lego Minecraft animations. I did a series called Lego Minecraft Creepers that was pretty popular. And yeah, that's mainly what most people would probably know me for, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So I guess it's become a tradition now. We always start off the podcast with, how'd you get into SCP?
So I assume my getting into SCP is pretty similar to most people of like our age, which was like in high school, everyone was playing SCP Containment Breach. And so when that was a big thing, I guess I found the wiki as well and started reading about that. And then I guess I just kind of forgot about it for a few years after that. And then there was suddenly like this big resurgence, I feel like, in the last few years of SCP. And then I started getting into it a bit more, started reading about it a bit more. Saw SCP Confinement was a thing, which is pretty cool. Oh yeah, that's the other thing that I do, is I do animation for SCP Confinement. So far, only 2 episodes, if you count the Christmas special. But yeah, that's the other thing that I do.
Gingerbread people. Yeah. Oh, just real quick. Shout out to Mang Mang, Exploring Series. He's also here with us
I'm
today.
also here, yes.
Sorry about that. I got a little too excited there earlier on. But yeah, that was cool. That was cool, Bung, for to let you just do your own little Lego style for Confinement.
Yeah. Well, like he knew that I did Lego animation, and he asked me to do that, and he commissioned me to do it actually. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. That was a bit different to what I usually do, which was he actually made the storyboard and directed it basically, and I just kind of produced it for him. And he got someone else to do the audio, which was like so nice. I didn't have to worry about it, because that's usually like, once I feel like I've done all of the work, then it's like, oh damn, now I've got to like do all of the audio as well.
I 100% feel you on that.
Yeah.
And that's why I feel like audio for at least our projects is always the weakest. Yeah. And that's like half the reason why I'm like, I just want to get this over with.
Yeah. It's the most, even though it's like 50% of a film, it's something that does get overlooked quite a bit.
No, it really does. I mean, especially with my next film coming out, that's like, I'm putting like 100% more effort and time into that, because it's been like bugging me. I try to rewatch my stuff and critique myself, and it's like, yeah, that is clearly the biggest flaw that stands out. Is like the audio shit.
Well, it's sound design, and it's also mixing is something I notice a lot of people sort of don't put enough attention into. When it's like, man, if I have to turn the volume up and down while I'm watching a video, it's the most annoying thing.
Yeah, I fucked up Red Reality like that.
It's definitely my weakest aspect. I just don't I don't have a good ear at all for audio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know what really sounds good or not. I know it's not good enough. That's about all I know. But I don't know how to fix it.
It just takes practice. I mean, like, I don't know. After a while, I just realized, like, if I actually listen to it, and if I'm like cringing at how loud something is, I'm like, I should probably fix that.
Yeah.
I've also learned hard limiters are your friend.
Yes.
Because I did not put those in, and I suffered the consequences.
Yeah, limiters and compressors. If you're feeling really lazy,
Yeah.
just chuck a big compressor on it. It won't sound great, but at least it'll be compressed.
That's pretty much what I do.
Because I mean, at least for you, as long as you can talk pretty consistently,
Yeah.
you're fine.
I just listen to like other people's podcasts or narrations. It's like, wow, that sounds so crisp and perfect, and mine's just like, it's just, I don't know. I just don't. I don't like it, but I know I should like it. I should care about it. So.
I mean, as long as your
my
fans don't
weakest
mind.
thing.
I mean, what I found that helped me at least is like, actually watching rewatching some of your stuff today, Thomas. I was like, just really paying attention to the audio shit. And just like not paying attention to the visuals and really just focusing on the audio aspects. And it was like, damn, like I feel like you do a really kick-ass job with audio out of most of the creators that I watch.
Thanks.
Like, because I feel like so many animes I watch, I don't feel like it's like as crisp, the action especially, like the impact. Like for again, perfect scene is like the janitor scene when he fucking throws the broom at the guy and fucking smashes him. It's like,
I'd
sound hits.
I'd been watching a lot of One Punch Man when I made that animation. So like I was looking at a lot of. Are you guys familiar with the term sakuga?
No, actually.
So sakuga is basically like high quality animation in anime. So it's like that episode. It's like the episodes of Naruto where the animators like actually do cool stuff. Like Rock Lee versus what's the sand guy? How can I?
Kara? I don't know. Korra, no.
Yeah, well, basically,
Gara? Yeah.
it's the bits of Japanese animation that have really decent budgets and time put into them, and usually it's the action stuff. So it's like really flashy and lots of frames in it, and a lot of it's so I've just been looking at a lot of this very flashy kind of animation, and I kind of wanted to have a go at doing that sort of thing in a film.
Yeah, that's a great. I literally have a little statue of Saitama next to my desk. So
Nice.
it's one of those.
That's motivation.
Yeah, I even have a workout One Punch Man tank top. So every time I work out, I'm just like, let's do this.
Do you do your 100 push-ups and 300?
No,
sit-ups
I
or whatever it
don't.
is?
I don't, but I do mostly calisthenics. So I'm like there, and I hate running, so I do like cardio bike instead.
Well, we can't really do a whole lot of running these days anyway.
No, not really. So yeah, I guess segue. How's coronavirus affecting y'all?
We're doing all right. I mean, I lost all of my work, so that's cool. But I have savings to get through it, so I should be okay for now.
I mean, is there some sort of like government assistance stuff going on too? Because I know that's what we're doing here in the States.
Yeah, there is. But it's because it's kind of difficult. I'm not really sure if I'll be able to get onto it anytime soon because just because of the way that I got paid was in lump sums, and a lot of the and I had a bit of lag, like where I was getting paid like after all of my clients stopped coming in. So I might, and they do it's an income test that you have to pass, and which is based on like a 3-month average of your, or something like that, of the amount of income that you've had. And it's just, I don't think I'll be able to pass it for another couple of months, which kind of sucks. But I mean,
yeah, quarantine's probably over by then.
yeah, it's like, well, like
Maybe.
Our prime minister is saying 6 months
Maybe,
though. So
yeah.
I'm like,
holy shit.
like I'm freaking out because I'm like, am I gonna have enough money to like see me through 6 months of this? Like, am I gonna have to move back with my parents or something? Because
But like, I'm assuming most people don't have that much savings to
yeah,
last 6 months without work.
Yeah, I mean, I'm lucky. I probably, if I'm careful with my money, I can probably do that. But I don't know.
Just do
yeah.
OMAD, 1 meal a day.
Yeah, I'm just gonna eat potatoes.
Can't really do something like that without government assistance.
Yeah, I mean,
No, there's no
if
way.
it goes like that, I'll have to get on government assistance. It'll just be a matter of when, and if I have any savings left over at the end of this whole thing.
I mean, I'm pretty sure they're trying to open up New York literally next month. And they're just like, I think they just said, like, if you've had coronavirus already, you can go back to work.
But they
It's
don't
like, okay.
know that you might not actually be immune.
Exactly. So it's kind of like,
I mean, I
is that the
think
smartest call?
I think most of our country is probably going to open up next month, but then we'll get hit with a second wave of everything, and then it'll
Oh, for
probably
sure.
close back down.
Especially the South, I feel like.
Hmm.
Especially Florida. Like, man, I'm just waiting for Florida to get hit hard.
You're waiting.
Like, look, I'm not eagerly waiting. I have a sense it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
I feel it's so weird how this is happening to everyone in the world at the same time.
Yeah.
Like
It is.
like we've had stuff like this happen, like, you know, like we had the bushfires in Australia, like end of last year, early this year, and like everyone kept asking me about that. Like, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. But now it's like, I feel like that sort of thing is happening, but it's literally everyone that I know, because like I have a lot of American friends online. I don't know. It's so weird how
it's a rare time in history.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. Like, I was talking to my friend. She lives in Beijing, and they just are getting ready to open Beijing again.
Wow.
And for the longest time, it was like, oh, be careful, yada yada. And now she's doing the same for me. She's like, oh, be careful, stay in. I'm like, this is weird. Literally like, flipped around. in a
Without
matter of
a
months.
without a vaccine, it's tricky.
So, and now I think they're saying it. Wow, this is turning into a coronavirus podcast. So I feel like
Yeah.
it's just.
I mean, it's
so I'm literally
big
about to go on a
topic.
tangent. Because I've recently heard. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a doctor. That certain cat breeds, like I think they found lions and tigers, and they're assuming feline, like normal household cats, can actually carry COVID-19.
Yeah.
Which means that if there's an animal reservoir, that's much more likely that'll become a seasonal thing. Until they make a vaccine. Because that's what flu, supposedly that's where flu goes. It goes to birds when humans aren't reservoiring.
I don't know if I've read the same. I remember reading something a while back that said that like cats can carry a type of coronavirus, but I don't know if it was the coronavirus.
Yeah.
I heard this like
they
literally a few
definitely
days
can.
ago. Like,
Okay.
Because there was a tiger at Bronx Zoo that got it because its caretaker also tested positive.
oh, Bronx Zoo, damn.
I better start telling my cat to wash his hands then.
Yeah, they said if you have cats that like go outdoors and come indoors to put a
Oh
stop
well,
to
he's
that.
indoors only, so
Yeah.
that should be fine.
I'm just concerned that your cat has hands. Man.
Yeah. For me, I'm glad that I have a job where I can work at home and the actual work.
Well, I'm assuming you're probably doing great. Everyone's sitting home watching your videos.
You'd think, but ad revenue is tied to the economy, and so
that's true.
there's not a whole lot of advertising going on. My rates are not doing great, and from what I hear online, other YouTubers are also having trouble.
I imagine a lot of Patreon supporters are dropping off as well.
Oh, yeah.
Because people just don't have that disposable income.
It hasn't been drastic at this point, but in a few
Yep.
months, I can definitely see it dropping off.
Well, that's great. So we talked about this a little earlier about you working for Bong, but
Yeah.
how'd that happen? How'd you guys meet up?
Oh, okay. So, yeah, I should probably tell you how I met Bung in the first place. So, hang on a moment. Let me just think about it for a second. You'll probably want to cut this bit out.
Don't worry, I got you.
Okay. So I was actually watching Bung's videos for like months, mostly trying to figure out how he made the animation, because I was kind of fascinated by. I'm always fascinated by like people who can make successful web series by themselves on the internet.
Yeah.
So like I was trolling through his live streams, like trying to figure out how to, just how he did stuff. And it was also kind of cool that he lived in Australia. It was like, oh, I live in Australia. Maybe I could like somehow meet him one day. Anyway, so I was I was with my ex at the time, and it was my ex's high school friend's housewarming party that we were going to. We went separately, so my ex got there first, and she just sent me like a text and was like, all caps, Lord Bung is here. And like I'm getting off the train and like walking to this house party, and I'm just like, well that figures. Cause yeah, like I'd just been like kind of like low-key obsessing over his content for the last few weeks. So yeah.
How convenient.
Yeah, so I showed up to this party, and yeah, he was there. We played Cards Against Humanity, talked about Toy Story 3, and then the next day we were like, oh, you should keep hanging out. So I went and saw Bohemian Rhapsody with him and a few other people the next day.
Oh,
and
nice.
then yeah, and like the weird thing was he lives in like another city to me, and he'd literally just flown up that weekend to go to that house party. Like, it was the biggest coincidence.
Damn.
So
That's
yeah,
seriously
anyway,
striking gold.
yeah, so we kept in touch from then. I visited his city a couple of times and caught up with him, and like like had him as a friend on Facebook and stuff like that. And then one time he just put out on like private channels, like, oh, I'm looking for a new animator because like I can't cope with all the animation that I have to do. Like I just need help with taking care of some of this stuff. And I just happened to be doing a 2D digital animation course for the last like 3 or 4 weeks before he put out that call. And
wow.
I'd
Damn.
never done 2D animation before that. So I sent him a message and was like, oh, like, can I do some test animation for you? Like, I know that I won't get it, but it'll be good practice for me. And yeah, in a couple days, like I did it, and I knew just enough about like the animation. I was using CC Animate. I knew just enough to be able to do the test animation for him. And then he got back to me a couple of days later and was like, yeah, you're actually the best candidate, so I'm just going to hire you
Wow.
now. So yeah, from a certain point onwards in episode 7, all of the animation is me, except for like 1 or 2 shots of
He's like
of
your,
SCP confinement.
He's basically your animation soulmate.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was super. Like there were so many coincidental things had to happen.
Serendipity.
Yeah,
Actually, though.
extremely serendipitous.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, so
and like,
that's
just
it.
don't break that chain. Keep it going. It was meant
Yeah.
to be.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if like he credited me as lead animator, which I don't know if that's super accurate, but yeah, I don't know if I'll end up doing more animation for him at this point, because I know like especially with like all this coronavirus stuff, he's a bit more tight on money now. But
Yeah.
I think he's looking at getting some funding from some kind of external vendor, so we'll see if that goes through.
I'm amazed he hasn't done any sort of Kickstarter route.
Yeah.
Quite confident his audience would definitely support him.
Yeah, I was like telling him like he should have, like the first time I met him, I was like, you could apply for government grants. Like, have you seen the rubbish that they fund here? Like,
Oh, yeah, that's a thing. You
they
guys are
would
lucky.
hand you like $30,000, like just looking at your numbers. Like, there's literally a fund for that here.
God damn.
Yeah, like there's
I'm moving
yeah,
to Australia, dude.
yeah, and I've thought about applying for it, but I just don't have like a web series idea for it, and like don't have the following for it.
I mean, if Uwe Boll can fund all his movies through the German government, things can happen.
That's fair. That's fair, dude.
That being said, like I'm not super keen on government funding for like creative stuff, especially here. Like stuff tends to be funded when it's kind of very homogenous, I guess, and the more interesting stuff seems to come out of more independent creators.
Is it just seen as like too high risk?
I don't know. They just seem to fund a lot of like very Australiana type content. So like stuff that really leans into Australian stereotypes, like the outback and like, koalas and stuff like that.
Huh. Maybe it's like how they want the media to represent Australia. kind of
Yeah.
thing.
But then the thing is, like, no one ends up watching this stuff because it doesn't connect with an audience.
Was Kangaroo Jack funded by the Australian government?
I have no idea, but I kind of hope that it is,
Throwback.
because that would be a great use of taxpayer dollars.
Oh man, yes. Man.
Australia's national film. Kangaroo Jack.
Yeah. Actually, I think Mad Max was the first Australian film I ever watched. Right? That's Australian, right? I'm not crazy.
Director.
Was it Mel Brooks?
Mel
Not Mel
Brooks.
Brooks.
No. Mel
God.
Gibson. Mel Gibson was the lead actor in it,
I
and
haven't seen Mel
then
Brooks.
is it George Miller
Yeah.
is the director, and George Miller is Australian.
Yeah, that's right. And he also did the newest one.
Yes.
The newest Mad Max,
Well,
yeah.
he's done all of them. I'm pretty
Oh,
sure.
he's done all of them? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I have not seen the third one.
Yeah.
It's the only one I haven't seen.
Yeah, he also directed Babe 2, Pig in the City, and both the Happy Feet films.
Wow.
And then he did
That's
Mad Max
quite the
Fury
resume.
Road when he was like 70. Like,
Man,
it's insane.
All that pented up frustration.
yeah, just angry old man movie. So
So-
sick of
okay,
doing
so-
Happy Feet.
You might get a kick out of this. So, I graduated from film school. I'm out now, but I talked to some of my friends who are still in school. So their school is literally shut down. So but they still have to do projects. They're still doing class and project from home.
Yeah.
So their final project is always to make like a 10-minute short film. But they have no actors
Okay.
and they have no camera. So my teacher's like, take some Legos, take some Barbies.
No
and make a
way.
movie." Yes. So they literally have to learn how to do stop motion Lego animation. So I
Wow.
thought, who better to ask? How? So I'm gonna send this to my professor, and I'm George. I hope you show this to the class. How? Any like tips or advice for people just starting out? They have no idea about anything with Legos or stop animation. What should like they be aware of?
Okay, so there's one tutorial you need to watch, which is the Fancy Pants ease in, ease out, and running tutorial. That's pretty much like the holy grail of like just one video to make you like a much better animator with Lego. Because yeah, he just shows you like some basic animation stuff that like at the time no one else had really made videos about those specific things, and kind of takes everything up a notch. The other thing is get a decent frame capture program. Dragon Frame is the best one, but it's also probably one of the most expensive ones. So you could get something like I don't know. There's iStop Motion for Mac, and then I think there's Eclipse Stop Motion Studio for PC is a bit cheaper. And besides that, join Bricks in Motion, the Discord, and the forum community, and start talking to people there, because they will have tons of tips. Like, there's a whole community for Lego animation. There's a few different communities actually, but the one that I'm a part of is bricksinmotion.com. And I'm on the Discord there all the time too.
That actually leads me to another question. I noticed there was it was for dragons. It was SCP. It was Brick Films, and he said it was like made under a week. What was that all about?
So that one was done for the Brawl contest for bricksinmotion.com.
Oh, Brawl, that's what it was.
Yeah, so Brawl, I think, means it's an acronym that stands for Brick Film Rapidly All Week Long. And it's basically a contest where they give you a theme and then you have to make an animation for it in under a week. So yeah, that's what I think. That one was more like, I just used that contest as an excuse to make another video because I just needed a deadline to work to. So
What was the theme?
I can't remember. It was something.
Apparently, it didn't matter.
It was related to the video that I did, but I can't remember what exactly it was.
Because I guess the closest we have to that is every now and then we'll do a 48-hour film festival, and for us the Untraceable video, the SCP video, was made in 40 hours for a film contest, which we lost because I think literally it was just too out there and a bit too campy for the audience. I think they literally did not know how to respond to the main character literally exploding with 20,000 bananas coming out of his body. So
Yeah, SCP
There's,
stuff. Like, if you're not in the know, it could be really weird.
yeah. Like, I use my family as like a litmus test of like, okay, how weird is this? You know, like, let me just show you this out of context.
Yeah.
Like literally for Purge, the community breach thing, I'm just like every now I'll just show like I do a lot of like pre-visuals now. I'll just show like a random picture of like one of the shots that are like inspiring me, And she's just like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah.
And I'm like, cool. I'm putting it in. Great. This is a good sign.
Well, that's what I was sort of thinking while I was watching The Janitor. Is like, you know, if you're familiar with SCP and, you know, you're in the community, it's like, okay, it all makes sense without words, without dialogue. Like, we all understand exactly what's happening. But if you don't know anything about SCP, it's like, what is going on?
Well,
so actually, I did.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
You go ahead.
So I actually just showed my sister this a couple hours ago. And she like totally dug it. She had fun with it. I don't know if she necessarily understood everything behind it, but she like could understand and enjoy the story.
I didn't mean to say that you can't appreciate it at all, that you wouldn't like it.
No, like I was surprised she was able to follow though, like the gist, like the whole knowing it's a secret foundation and all that stuff.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, I've had a lot of people comment because there's a lot of people in like the brick filming community who don't know anything about SCP, and like I've had a few comments, and I've talked to a few people who say they kind of enjoy like the mystery of like the SCP videos that I've done. So I guess I have to assume that it still like works. Even if you aren't familiar with SCP. Yeah. I mean, like my approach to, because I've done stuff with Minecraft before as well, with Lego, and I guess my approach is to use these kind of like community universes. First of all, it's like a way to like get people interested in watching my stuff, but then I also kind of treat them, I guess, kind of like a sandbox where I can tell a story and use elements of it to do my own thing, I guess, and hopefully have that accessible to like a wider audience outside of just the people that sort of know what it is.
Well, that's why that's a big part of why I really like your SCP stuff. Is I'm all about like condensing a story and stripping it down and just showing basically the bare essentials. And like your refining machine one, you don't need to know really much about. I'm blanking on the SCP number. You don't really need to know much about that to just appreciate,
right?
The 2-minute video, where it's all contained right in there, the whole thing.
Yeah, that one in particular was. I'm finding some of these SCP ideas are very difficult to translate without dialogue explaining what they are.
I can imagine.
Yes.
Yeah, like
definitely.
like most of that video is like the first half of it at least is just like explaining the concept of what the refining machine is.
Yeah.
And what it does, so that then I can have like the gruesome payoff in the second half.
And it works. It works.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of mass audience, I feel like whenever I've brought up like Lego animation to people, friends, especially film friends, there's kind of this like pause. Oh, that sounds nice.
Yeah.
And like I feel like there's this like stigma that it's just some like middle schooler playing with his toys. Like, do you feel like that's starting to change, or that's still kind of something you have to fight against?
I mean, honestly, I think going forward, I'm probably going to move away from Lego animation as a medium that I work in, because as I get older, I think I'm realizing more and more like how much of a stigma there is around this as a medium, and also like I just feel like it's starting to get a bit old for me personally, because I've been doing it for like 10 years, and I'm like,
damn.
Like this was super cool to me when I was, like 14, but now it's like I'm almost 24, and it's like, I don't know, I feel like I can be with Lego, you're working in a medium that is owned by a company, and that medium has a whole lot of like baggage with it as well. Like Lego is a construction block toy for kids mainly, and while it is possible to tell like more sort of serious or adult or like more sort of complex stories with it, I do feel like there's a barrier of entry there for potential viewers that just a lot of people will just never get past. Like they'll see Lego and they'll just think that it's funny.
Yeah.
Like Yeah, I remember in like early high school, I made like this really violent like space police animation, and I showed it to the class, and there was like one girl who just could not stop laughing like when all the shooting was happening, just because she thought it was so funny that they were Lego figures, and like
Yeah.
told me afterwards like, oh, there should have been more blood. You should have used like tomato sauce or something. And it was like, oh my god, are you a psychopath? But then it's like it's because it's Lego, like. You know, it's I guess for storytelling, I've kind of got this idea I've been thinking about lately of the mum test. Like, if I could show this to anyone's mum and they'd understand
Yes.
it and kind of like get it,
Yeah.
then it's probably, you know, it's probably good storytelling, and it's a good medium to do that. But with Lego animation, I feel like for a lot of mums, like, they wouldn't get past the fact that it's Lego. And I do feel that all the time, and I'm struggling with it all the time. And I think it's probably, yeah, like I said, I'm probably going to move away from it eventually.
Well, I think your biggest mistake was not using Mega Blocks. So
Absolutely.
There you go.
No, don't talk about Mega Blocks. Disgusting.
I love how vile the reaction is every time.
So
I grew up with Lego blocks.
was
Anyway,
was humor like part of your plan when you were making like the janitor and the refining machine? Did you intend them to be humorous or no?
I think like that kind of came out sort of organically, like as I was making it. Like the humor in Janitor is very sort of understated,
Yeah.
I guess. And it was just kind of like I don't think I'm a very like comedic kind of filmmaker or anything like that. I think when I tried to make humor, it falls flat. But it just happened to work in that context, so I went with it.
I think a lot of the
Yeah.
humor just comes from like the facial movements and stuff.
the timing
Yeah.
too,
Yeah.
specifically. Man.
So if you had like crude clay figures, I don't think there would be as much innate humor, like you said.
Yeah, possibly not. But I mean, like, if I've been thinking a lot about moving into 2D digital animation because, like, that's what I've done on confinement, and I feel like, hang on, this is actually like pretty accessible to me. So I'm thinking about, like, I could imagine like the janitor short done in like, I don't know, like a Rick and Morty style animation, and it would probably work
Sure.
just fine.
I feel
Yeah.
like that's more flexible.
Yeah.
So I mean,
yeah.
with 2D animation, so something I've been following AI and just like the effect it has on like the film industry and just all sorts of different things that in the world. But one thing I've been really interested in is how it's affecting animation and how. So I don't know if you know much about this. I'm curious. Do you know anything related to like 2D animation and AI programs? Kind of tapping into that, like maybe making it less tedious or picking up certain fill-in jobs, like like the more repetitive motions or looping or things like that.
I mean, if you're talking about like machine learning type stuff,
Yeah.
I've had a few conversations about that sort of thing and looked into it a bit. Personally, like there's a lot of people who look at 2D animation and there'll be like those 60 FPS machine learning interpolated animations of like Sakuga on YouTube. You know, like I think the only cool one I've seen is like there was like one shot in a One Punch Man animation, which was already pretty awesome looking, but then they upped it to 60 FPS and it looked awesome. I don't know. Personally, I think possibly in the future, but I think in-betweens and keyframes in the style of animation that I like are very distinctive, and I feel like using a computer to fill in frames in between takes away a lot of what makes 2D animation special. I think in something like 3D animation, it's perfectly acceptable depending on what style you're going for. But I can't really see machine learning like taking the role of say like an in-betweener or something in 2D animation, just because it does require a lot of artistic interpretation, which would be extremely difficult to abstract, I feel like, even with machine learning.
That's actually really interesting, because I always assumed like, oh, the in-betweener is just like the kid coloring, you know, in between the lines.
Yeah,
like, I didn't really think there was a stylistic aspect to that.
Yeah, well, I mean, in some ways, yeah, it can be quite mechanical like that, but like truly, really good animation, the in-betweens are just as important as the keyframes. And they are like kind of repetitive, and like they're probably the most like not interesting part of the animation, but they're still important. and there's a lot of like not so obvious like thinking that goes into them. Like for instance, if you're like drawing 3D shapes and like turning them a certain way, this is kind of hard to explain, but like you have one, you know, like of an object turned a certain way, and then you turn it 90 degrees in the next keyframe, and then you hand it to someone to draw in between. They might not necessarily interpret that it's meant to also have volume in the middle frame, and just kind of do a really direct, I don't know,
like a snap? Like, is it like kind of like motion blur related kind of deal?
It's more like if you drew a cylinder, turned it and into like another cylinder, but in a different shape, and then got a computer to draw the picture in between, and probably just draw like a square or something like that. I don't know.
Okay.
It's kind of hard to explain without pictures, but I feel like computers could do in-betweens for like very small increments maybe. But even then, like I'm not sure I dig the super smooth 60 FPS look, because I kind of like lo-fi, like low frame rate animations a lot of the time.
It's like the film versus digital argument.
I mean, except the technology's not there just yet.
Yeah, because I've mainly been following it for 3D animation, because I feel like for me personally, shit's gonna get really exciting when you're able to do, when like physics engines get better, cloth engines get better, where like the less stuff you have to animate, and the more time you can focus on just creating models and creating scenarios and being able to do live renders of lighting scenarios and all that stuff. It's like you're gonna need less and less computing power and less people, or not less computing power, but more of as the technology grows and gets better, you're gonna need less money. It's gonna get cheaper and easier. So that's my hope, is that like we could have fully independent films that look like Astartes, the Warhammer 40k 3D animated short, like stuff like that would be
I think
insane.
I think I've seen the one that you're talking about. That stuff looks awesome.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, no, machine learning for like 3D animation, like realistic 3D animation, I think that's totally a thing. And I'm certain they're probably, I don't know a whole lot about it, but I'm certain they're probably already using that in a lot of visual effects work and stuff like that.
It's a little stiff right now. I've been like, there's a great YouTube channel, if you guys want to learn more about this, great YouTube channel called 2 Minute Papers, and he does a lot of videos about AI in general, but also just like AI in 3D animation.
Yeah, okay.
Like literally like automated walking loops and interaction. It's like really interesting, like complete animation loops done completely by machine learning. Like there's literally not a human involved in any aspect of that. It's spooky. It's cool.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at like indie game development now compared to like 20 years ago, I mean, it's worlds apart.
Yeah.
So
it's insane.
Home users and stuff, independent users, capabilities are just going to continue to grow.
I mean, think about how many people are making SCP games. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, how many we got going at the moment?
Okay, well, I'd say the most legit ones are obviously Unity, which is already released and they're updating stuff. Secret Lab, although I don't know if that's still an active. I guess they do update the game.
It's pretty
and
popular.
Then you have, yeah, I mean that's literally how my friends recently got into SCP. Not through my channel, of course. But we have a Phrase Studios too, which I believe they're still in production, but they've been always doing a lot of teasing and art releases and stuff. Those are like the 3 big ones I can think off the top of my head. I'm sure I'm missing stuff, and I'm sorry if I missed you guys.
Don't
yell at me.
An SCP game.
Yeah, that used to be me, and then I've been kind of just getting into it recently. Like Secret Lab was the first SCP game I played, actually.
I've heard Control on PS4 is pretty good.
Yes.
I did play that.
And I do want to play that.
If that counts, I guess.
I'm an Xbox boy because I like Halo, so I haven't played it.
I only have a PS4 because of Bloodborne, basically.
Well, that's a good reason.
So yes, I fucking love it. That's literally like one of my favorite at least console games, because everything else I play PC pretty much. And Dark Souls and all that stuff. That whole trajectory kind of led me down a rabbit hole. But yeah, speaking of video games that we like, what are some like big creative inspirations? Like, for example, Bloodborne for me, I love Victorian horror. I love medical history, and I love Lovecraftian horror. So like, what about you? What's like kind of gets you running, gets those creative juices
Like
excited?
video game wise?
Just in general.
Well, I mean, I've actually sort of dropped off of playing video games a lot lately. Although, with this whole lockdown thing, I got sucked into Minecraft again for the first time in like years.
That's a good one, yeah.
So that's good. But besides that, like I mentioned before, like I'm really big into Halo, particularly like Bungie era Halo. Like I actually really love the non-main series ones, like Halo Reach and ODST.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like the style and the storytelling of those ones. I mean, Reach isn't a great story, but like the style of it is pretty awesome. Besides that, I don't know. I love Fez. Have you ever played Fez?
Yes.
Great game.
I haven't played it, but I've seen it. Yeah.
Yeah. Because like growing up, I think Indie Game the movie was like a really big inspiration to me, and I actually wanted to be a game developer for a while because of that movie, and I was like starting to develop games in high school. But then I got a scholarship to study film and television, so I ended up doing that instead.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, I should probably play more games. I've got a ton in my Steam library. I started playing Battlestar Galactica Deadlock the other day, which is
Never heard of that.
It's like a space strategy game based on Battlestar Galactica, and it's actually pretty good so far. Like, I don't usually play that type of game, but I love Battlestar Galactica, so
Well, who doesn't?
yeah, it's so good.
I mean, I highly would recommend Half-Life. And that's like one of my personal favorites.
Oh yeah.
Portal, obviously.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, of course. Yeah, Half-Life 2, I probably replay that like once every year or two. Probably due for another replay sometime soon with Half-Life Alyx.
Play Alex. Yeah.
I like it,
I'm
but
itching.
I always skip Ravenholm.
That's like the best part.
Yeah, I have
It's pretty fun.
I have arachnophobia. I just like.
Oh shit.
can't
I
handle
do
that.
too. Like, not as bad, but yeah. I still get spooked by the big black
The poisonous
crab
head
dudes.
crabs, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
those
why
guys fucking-
I was playing Half-Life Alyx, but I got like 4 hours in. I just can't handle it.
Yeah. I'm pretty scared. I know I'm a screamer. I'm not gonna, in VR I'm a screamer.
Like, it's
I become
really,
more auditory. It's weird.
It's really incredible, but it's too incredible when it comes to the head crabs pouncing at your
man.
face.
Yeah, Jake got the index. Jake's the other, my other partner in Forlorn Foundry, for those listening. So he really got the full experience.
Oh wow. Yeah, I've been like, I don't have a lot of money, but I am like still considering like would it be worth getting a VR headset? Because like I played Beat Saber a few times, and like Beat Saber is really fun, and it would be great for exercise.
Yes.
So it's
So
like
I like
maybe
that
I
aspect.
can justify that.
Well, I will say, and this applies to listeners too, Windows has a really good virtual reality headset, and it's like 100. I think the Lenovo one, which is the one I have, is the best one, and it's like $160, $170. It's like dirt cheap for a really good. It's like as good or better than Vive, in my opinion.
But if you don't have a great computer, the Oculus Quest is really good.
That's true.
I've
forgot
been
people don't have
looking
great
at the
computers.
Oculus Quest because it looks like there seems to be a lot less cables and stuff involved with
It's
that.
completely wireless.
Big time.
Yeah, which is pretty appealing.
That's what
Can
I
it play
use to work
everything,
out.
Yeah.
I
think
think
the
Can it
only
play like
thing would
Half-Life
be
Alyx?
it can't play everything.
Oh yeah.
But like I said, I use it to work out, so I do Beat Saber and Box VR, and it does have a bunch of other stuff. I also have an Index, which is of course what I use for the heavy lifting stuff, but the Quest is really nice.
What do you do for sound with the Quest? Do you wear headphones with it, or does it come with its own
It's
thing?
got built-in audio.
Okay, cool.
It's really like just an all-in-one package.
Well, yeah, I was hoping that would help really kind of push VR to like the public as at large, because I feel like it's always been like, oh, unless you're like a PC builder boy, you're not getting VR.
It's still got a pretty high buy-in, but I think once something like the Oculus Quest becomes, well, I mean, PSVR is pretty good too.
I've never played that. Yeah.
Yeah, I've given, because part of my degree, I also did some video game stuff, so I did get to play around with a lot of VR stuff while I was studying, and so yeah, no, the PSVR is pretty good.
I think
Like one thing that I'm really interested in is like VR storytelling, because I feel like that's such a weird experimental area, and it's like a whole new. It's like you know, you don't tell. It's like when TV appeared, you know, like telling stories on TV, and that whole format is completely different than film. It's like a whole new medium, and I feel like there's something really exciting and interesting about that.
I feel like interactive VR stuff like Half-Life Alyx is probably where a lot of storytelling will head into in the future.
It definitely seems trickier because with like a TV show, you're looking at one thing. You know the audience is always looking at the one screen. Whereas with VR, you can spin around. They could be looking at different things. Like jump scares, it's a little trickier to do.
Yeah, it's a whole new set of problems to tackle. I think Corridor Digital did some interesting like experiments with that a couple of years back.
Like I was actually thinking about this, and I've thought like, well, we have open world games already, like GTA and things like that, and it's like, I feel like people, if you railroad them and you do all the cues to get their attention, people will learn as they get familiarized with VR. They'll learn how to play VR, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because they're gonna know if I just dick around and sit around and stare at the wall for 3 hours, I'm not gonna have a good time.
Right.
Well, there's a whole new literacy and a whole new like syntax to it that everyone has to learn. Like, I don't know, you never really think about it, but the average person has like a full vocabulary of what they can understand in a film. Like, even if they're not totally conscious of it, like that's like what a lot of like learning about how to make films is making all of that stuff conscious, like knowing how close-ups and wides and all that stuff work, and how editing works. But like, I don't know how, but like you just have to reverse engineer so much stuff. Like, like the main thing is how do you get someone to look in the right direction? Or is that, or maybe we're not even asking the right questions with that. Like maybe the style of storytelling should play to the fact that people can look around in any direction.
Yep.
Sure, but then you have like a character giving some monologue and I'm flipping him the bird or, throwing cans around the room and,
Yeah.
Well, I think there's the big argument is now is how much access do you give? Do you have them just be like a flea in the wall and you're just kind of following along? How much freedom do you give? And also, I feel like one thing that is the best way to get people's attention is using auditory, because like the best thing about VR is you have 360 audio.
Yeah.
You basically have complete surround, and I feel like we instinctively will follow or look where sound is coming from, at least initially. Like that's a great way to just get a quick snap of attention. The hard part is maintaining it and keeping it there, I feel like.
Yeah,
Who knows?
I don't know if VR is the future of gaming, but it is very exciting.
Yeah, it's hard to say.
you know,
I love it. I hope it succeeds though.
they figure out
Me too.
like full haptic feedback and costs come down, and you know, there's a lot more like killer apps that come out. I can see it.
I don't think this one's gonna be like a fad. I feel like it's probably gonna just continue iterating until it hits a breaking point where suddenly, you know, everyone can have VR, like everyone has a console basically.
Yeah.
You need like you need your PS2 Slim version to come out that everyone's or like the Nintendo Wii, just like everyone has one.
Yeah, God, the Wii was a weird one. Well, I feel like Switch is the hot one now. Like people, like the crazy thing is quarantining is like making a whole new like mini generation of gamers. Like all these people I knew that never interested in gaming or anything, they're in quarantine, and they also actually a lot of girls I know really. Animal Crossing comes out, they're in quarantine, they've never played video games before, and they're like, huh, I'm bored.
Yeah.
That looks like a fun thing to do.
Yeah. I
what's
got
this cute
Animal
thing?
Crossing. I got stuck into Minecraft before I could start playing it though.
I'm surprised because literally your picture on Discord is an Animal Cross style like rendition of you.
Yeah, that is very true, and I'm very hypocritical. No, that was actually there was a guy on there was a person on Twitter, I don't actually know their gender, called Toast, that they just tweeted out and said if you reply to this tweet, like I'll do an Animal Crossing style of you. And yeah, so that's how I got this drawing, and I like it.
I envy you. I feel like, well, actually, speaking of hand drawing, one thing I also noticed with your videos was, I actually didn't notice this until you did a live stream, like BTS, of you animating one of your Lego animations, and I realized he hand animates his faces. I'm like,
sometimes, yeah.
Like, I feel like it really made a difference though. Like, it feels more fluid, because I feel like sometimes, like, emotively, Lego can feel very stiff. Because it's like, how many faces, how many expressions do you have to, how much range is there? How much? Yeah. Like, 'cause that's dependent on what they print, right? The Lego company.
Well, this is like partially like why I feel like I want to move away from Lego animation at at some point, because it's getting to the point where to get the level of like subtlety that I want in storytelling, like I'm now just doing VFX for every single shot, like so I have to like erase the face and then put it back in, and like hand animate the eyes blinking and the mouth moving and stuff like that. Make sure the lighting and the texture all looks right on it, so it doesn't look completely like artificial. Like if you look at the Confinement Christmas special that I did for Lord Bung, I think literally every shot in that was a VFX shot.
So, really? Actually, that wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, thinking about that now.
Yeah, because face animation, green screen, masking rigs out, snow effects, fire, animating characters, multiple characters at the same time. Usually I do that, like I'd animate one character in a pass and then do another one in a pass and then edit them together in post. There's a lot of work.
Did you just watch a shit ton of like Nightmare Before Christmas behind the scenes?
I actually read for that sort of stuff, I read a lot of behind the scenes stuff about movies, like live action movies. I really love Cinefex. If you've ever heard of that magazine?
No, actually.
So it's a quarterly visual effects magazine, and basically they have these giant articles that go into detail, like interviewing and being on set with the visual effects and special effects artists for big movies.
That's cool.
It's awesome. It's like it's like the behind the scenes featurette, but in text form, and for all sorts of movies. Sometimes ones that like you never even think about like what the process was on. Like I've got one that I've been reading recently that has like Chicken Run, Dinosaur, and some other movie I hadn't heard of. Did you know that do you remember that early 2000s movie Dinosaur, the Disney one?
Yes, I fucking love that movie as a kid.
Yeah, so
it's
that
horrible,
one,
but
the sets
just die
in
at the end.
Spoilers.
Spoilers.
Yikes.
Yeah, no, the sets in that are live action photography.
Really?
And then the dinosaurs are composited into it. Yeah, and they use like miniatures
actually
and
makes
stuff.
sense.
Yeah, it's insane.
That's actually really fucking cool.
Yeah, I can't remember if the movie's any good or not, because I saw it when I was like 6, but
No, it's not. I rewatched it recently because I remember loving it so much. I'm like, fuck, why did I just ruin a childhood memory? And like since then, I refuse to rewatch it.
I did rewatch Chicken Run the other night, and it holds up. It is...
Okay, maybe I'll rewatch it then, yeah.
It's timeless. It's such a good movie.
Because, I mean, they have a pretty good streak. I forget, it's a Grotto, Walter and Grotto. How am I forgetting their name?
Wallace and
Walter.
Walter and Grotto sounds amazing, though.
I'm dead. It's like the alternate universe. Alternate timeline.
Have you guys seen the Smiling Friends pilot?
No.
The Psychic Pebbles did a pilot for... Yeah, he did a pilot for Adult Swim. And it is really good. Look it up, Smiling Friends.
Yeah, I have to see this.
It's got Mike from Red Letter Media as a voice actor in it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Wow. Two of my like favorite YouTubers. Just straight up.
Yeah, it's really good. I want a whole season of it.
Well, I guess fun fact, the first podcast series I ever really got into was Sleepy Cabin, which is with Psychic Pebbles, OniNG, Rice Pirate, and like a bunch of other like YouTube animators.
Oh, okay.
It's wild. They don't really do anymore. They did one actually last year recently.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not for the faint-hearted. If you don't like really weird, disturbing, strange humor, don't watch it. So just warning you guys. It's not very kid friendly. But I feel like, do you feel like the Newgrounds, and I mean for you had a pretty weird way of getting into film, but I feel like I know a lot of YouTube animators. Newground animation was like what inspired them, the first wave of YouTube animators. I feel like.
Well, for
was
me,
that,
yeah.
like
You're
for you,
asking,
was
like,
that related at all? Yeah.
Yeah. I'd say not really. Yeah. I mean, like I'd seen Newgrounds animations on YouTube, but I didn't know what Newgrounds was until like a couple of years ago, really.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like I always thought Newgrounds was like a video game, like Flash games thing. I didn't realize there was like a whole animation thing too.
Yeah, it's a whole website. Yeah.
Yeah. Apparently it's kind of having a bit of a resurgence lately, especially with, you know, like Adpocalypse and animators not getting
I thought
treated
it was
very
dead.
well.
I thought the site was down.
Yeah, no, there's been for a while there a lot of like brick filmers were like, oh, I'm gonna start uploading stuff on Newgrounds because it kind of does better there sometimes.
That's actually insane. That's actually really cool. Maybe I unironically start posting my videos to Newgrounds. Why not?
Yeah. No, for me it was all like Lego animation was what got me started. So yeah, I have a pretty like atypical way of getting into animation.
Well, how do you feel about Lego Movie? I'm sure everyone asked you that question.
Just a moment, I got a cough. And then I gotta
Oh,
drink
no.
some water.
That's what he thinks.
This is the last recorded memory of Thomas.
Yeah, guys, I think I've got a fever.
Oh, fuck.
Be right back.
boy.
I gotta go
Hey, Google.
cough on some people.
Hey Google, can you get COVID virus from Discord? Oh fuck.
Sending it your
Don't
way.
worry, I got my mask on. No, I'm good.
It's okay. I put a sock over my pop filter, so hopefully that'll be good enough.
Fantastic. Oh man, got some extra crust in there. Oh boy.
Anyway, sorry, what was the question?
So we were talking about Lego Movie. Did it revolutionize how you view Legos, or was it just a good movie?
No on the first question, yes on the second question. The Lego Movie was, well, I would say it definitely sort of opened up a lot of ideas for like how you could animate Lego, because basically they got people that knew how to do animation from like a traditional and 3D animation background to tackle like doing Lego animation. I think the biggest thing that kind of was crazy to me was that it was CG made to look like stop motion, and I still think that's awesome. Like kind of like what Spider-Verse did as well, which is like take ideas and like stuff like frame modulation, like having lower frame rates within the animation and putting that into a 3D like CGI context to give it more of like a handmade feel. The style of the Lego Movie is really cool, and yeah, like it's a pretty good movie by itself. I actually think the Lego Ninjago movie, even though I mean personally I think it's pretty good as well. A lot of people seem to dislike it for some reason, but the animation of that and the animation in the Lego Batman movie are really inventive. Like the way that they use smear frames, like where they'll have the Lego minifigures like duplicated arms for like one frame, stuff like that, like when they're doing a swing, stuff where they do like crazy like forced perspective stuff, or like brick built parts of the characters to sort of accentuate certain movements. I don't know, it is definitely worth like framing through. Like I think for a while I torrented the Lego Movie and then I put it through a media encoder or something and just like broke it up into individual images, and then I
cool.
made those pictures
That's
a
really cool.
slideshow background on the background of my computer. So if I ever got bored, I could just watch the
Oh,
Lego
wow.
Movie
That's smart.
at like
That is
like
so
1
smart.
frame per second or whatever. It was like 1 frame every 10 seconds, I think.
I should do that with the new Blade Runner.
Oh
Get some
god,
inspo on the web.
it's so long though. But yeah, that would actually be pretty awesome because that movie is gorgeous.
It is,
That's some
absolutely.
quarantine behavior right there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
actually,
I've been
so you
preparing for
mentioned-
quarantine all my life, so
Yeah, I know. I've actually been enjoying it. It's like, fuck.
I miss seeing my friends though. Like that's the main thing.
true.
Like I made an effort to like go out and hang out with friends at least once or twice a week, and I go rock climbing
Yeah.
and stuff. And now I just can't, and that sucks.
Do you have a rock climbing in your wall? In your room?
No, I live in a 3rd-story apartment, so I can't really do that.
I mean, yeah, it's 3 stories.
Climb up
Just
your
and down.
apartment.
I could give it a go. I feel like that'd be a little unsafe though.
I don't think you want to go to hospitals now.
I've seen videos of like people in like my local like rock climbing community group on Facebook like posting videos of them like climbing around on the walls inside their house or
Oh,
like
man.
underneath their stairs with their arms
Oh,
or like
no.
there's another thing they were doing for a while where they just like climb around a table, and I'm thinking
Yes,
the whole
I've seen
time,
that.
like yeah, it's like that's cool I guess, but also extremely dangerous. Like if that table flips over, you're gonna break bones. Like
Yikes.
I don't know. Like I prefer just to stay alive for the
Way
duration.
low. Yeah. Relax. Kick back.
Yeah.
Speaking of kicking back, for our bored fans out there, what should they watch? Any recommendations from the Forlorn Creature?
My Little Pony: Friendship is Magic is the seminal TV show of our no, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Watch Battlestar Galactica. I think it's free on Sci-Fi. Battlestar Galactica is one of the best science fiction TV shows to come out of the last couple of decades, I think.
I will second that.
Yeah, it's I think the style of it, the like especially like the space battle stuff in it, that Zoic Studios did, is super influential to a lot of like space and CGI animation coming out these days. And yeah, it's just really good. Don't forget to start with the miniseries too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't even
yeah.
know it was a miniseries.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, if you start watching episode 1, season 1, it'll be really confusing because like before they started making the show, they actually did a 3.5-hour pilot miniseries. So definitely watch that because it like sets up the whole universe and it's really good. But yeah, so Battlestar Galactica, if you don't know, is it's a gritty post 9/11 science fiction show about this sort of fantasy science fiction universe where humans live on 12 colonized planets. They created these robots called the Cylons. Cylons disappear for a few decades, and then come back and basically nuke all of the colonies. And then it's about following this last spaceship called the Battlestar Galactica and like its ragtag fleet of civilian ships that trail along behind it, and they're trying to escape the Cylons and find a new planet to live.
The thing that's great
So this is
about
a
it is like most of it is not really that sci-fi.
Yes, it's extremely grounded. Like a lot of people would think about science fiction like Star Trek, where there's a lot of techno babble or like
Yeah.
stuff like Stargate.
Or Star
This is not a
Wars.
very it's not a very sciencey show. It's basically like a melodrama in space, but it's really, really good drama. There's a lot of socio-political stuff in there, which I think is more and more relevant every year. Like there's a large sort of like underlying theme is there's a division between military and government, which is always kind of a tension there. And then there's like a lot of religious undertones to it as well, which
Yep.
are kind of interesting.
Like philosophy.
It's a very well written show.
It is honestly
Save
my
for maybe-
favorite television series. So
It's
I'm
mine too.
glad to
Yeah, I
have
gotta
this
watch this.
discussion.
I would
Yeah.
always mix it up with Stargate, and I feel like that's why I never watched it.
Yeah, Stargate's completely different ballpark, I think. Unless you watch Stargate Universe, which, honestly, like, I think they were trying to copy the formula of Battlestar Galactica for that show and the style, which was kind of the nail in the coffin for the Stargate franchise, unfortunately. But yeah, like, I don't know. I feel like a lot of science fiction shows post Battlestar Galactica want to be Battlestar Galactica.
And I mean, I guess for context, this was early 2000s, so I'm curious how much of it is kind of speaking about the Iraq War and
Yeah,
the
well,
whole
it's
war on terror stuff.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of it is definitely like war on terror, and the sort of the core conceit of the story of like the human colonies being attacked is very much sort of grounded by the sort of the post 9/11 sort of American psyche, I guess.
And it is a remake of a 70s
Yes.
show, but I never saw that.
Yeah, so the original 1978 Battlestar Galactica series was basically just like a rip-off of Star Wars. And yeah, that was, I think it was 1 or 2 seasons. And yeah, it was just like a very cheesy, like sci-fi, same basic
Yeah.
premise, but like executed very, very differently. Yeah, no, this newer show, I think the miniseries came out in 2003, and then the actual series started in 2004,
Yep.
and then finished around 2009. And there's 2 TV movies. There's a spin-off show called Caprica, which was okay. And then, oh yeah, there was a backdoor pilot series called Blood and Chrome, which was like, it was like the Star Wars prequels, all like shot on green screen.
Yeah.
This is my least favorite thing about sci-fi, personally. Well, sci-fi like TV is when there's like a million spin-offs and like back things, and it's like I just like it feels so overwhelming.
All
Yeah.
you really
it-
need
it
is
definitely puts me
just
off.
The main series.
Yeah, this one, all of the spin-off stuff is pretty inferior compared to the main series, and
Thank
a lot of
God.
it doesn't really relate. So, yeah, you can
I'll
just
definitely
enjoy
check this
the
out.
series.
I'm definitely I'm hunkering down with this one. I've been looking for a new show to watch.
Yeah, well, I think sci-fi.com released it all for free to watch during the quarantine period. So
Oh, awesome!
go watch it.
Because I recently watched Starship Troopers, which
Ah,
not
that's
necessarily
one of
the
my
same
favorite
thing,
movies.
but
Yeah.
you know, it's all about the war machine and fascism and all that good stuff.
It's an
so.
anti-fascist movie, and it's amazing.
Yeah, I love it. It's so good, and it has a 63% on Rotten Tomatoes. Which what
That's
the fuck?
crazy.
Dude?
It's just
Like, I
people
understand
don't. It's a level. It's an
They don't get it,
ironic
probably.
movie. Like it
Yeah.
is. So it's you need a high IQ to understand this movie. To be honest.
Yes, that's true. It's also why I watch A Soul Die of Rick and Morty, which I actually haven't watched in a long time. But
New half of season 4 comes out soon.
Yep.
yeah, is it worth getting back into? I kind of stopped halfway through season 3.
Yeah, season 3. Yeah, I think it's definitely sort of lost a bit of its charm now, and I think it's also kind of. I feel ashamed watching it now because of the whole,
the
like,
whole Szechuan
fandom.
Wars really fucked things
Yeah.
up.
Yeah, I almost like don't even want to talk about it because like
And then we had Pickle Rick right after. It was like a double whammy. Like
the
ugh.
funny thing is like Pickle Rick is a very deep episode and won an Emmy because it's actually pretty good.
That's a great episode.
It is a good episode. It's just like
Yeah.
that's what's so weird about it is like a really good episode that became cringe
Yeah,
because of just like
Yeah, that's why I don't
The
follow
audience.
memes.
it's the funniest shit I ever saw though.
I fucking hate that meme so much. I'm sorry. It's one of the things that will get me triggered. Like goddamn.
Can we talk about memes for a moment? Because I
let's
feel
do
like
it.
memes lately have really
Your
sort of-
favorite, Mang.
Yeah.
Oh, so my favorite kind of memes are surreal memes circa 2013. When they're
A meme
like, the
connoisseur.
Yeah, like memes just haven't been as good since there. Like, I don't know if you guys ever got into Special Meme Fresh. Like, you've seen his head, the meme
The
man.
3D bland dude. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
He's,
yeah.
like,
So that
kinda
was
weird
like,
looking.
so that came from a Facebook page called Special Meme Fresh, which was around 2013, and there was a whole like sort of gang of these surrealist Facebook meme pages There was like Meme Man Jr. There was Fresh and Slunky Memes or something like that. It's like they were all
Slunky?
just they were all producing this just nonsense meme content, and I loved it. It was so good, and yeah. But I
This
feel
is the
like
Stonks head, by the way, for those who can't remember.
yeah,
who
yeah,
this
yeah,
is.
yeah. The Stonks head. That's where it came from. Yeah, and like I don't know, it just felt so much more underground and like alive. And I feel like memes these days have become very sort of
Mainstream.
bland. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like, and people's understanding of like what makes a funny meme has sort of become very homogenous. I don't know. Basically, I'm saying I'm a meme hipster, and I only like
Yeah, actually.
like specific kind of memes.
Well, do you follow r/real memes? How do you feel about that subreddit?
Yeah, they're alright. It's just it doesn't have the same magic, you know. Like sometimes
Yeah.
they're pretty good. Like there's some good deep fried memes out there.
Every now and then, once in a blue moon. I actually stopped following dank memes, or pretty much all meme subreddits, because literally 80% of it is these lazy meta memes that I just hate
Yeah.
so much. And it's
I
like,
find
It's just talking about the SCP subreddit.
I've actually
jeez.
ooh, burn.
Oh, are you talking about SCP or dank memes from Site 19, where the memes should be going to?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's Meme Monday, which I get. They have to do that, or else
Yep.
the subreddit is gonna die.
Yeah.
Or not die, but you know, you get my drift. Don't quote
Oh,
me on this. Don't ban me from the community.
Yeah. Yeah, I just don't follow memes. And I made a video about anti-memetics, and so I just used a bunch of memes, like meme templates.
Hmm.
And I got all these comments that are like, why'd you only use memes from like 10 years ago? And it's like, that's all I know.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
man.
get most of my meme content nowadays from like shit posting groups on Facebook dedicated to specific TV shows and movies. So like, I think at the moment, like I really like Star Trek shit posting. There's
Oh, yeah.
occasionally some pretty good content in there, but it's like highly specific stuff. I don't know. I guess what makes memes funny to me a lot of the time is that like only a certain subset of people will find them funny. Like if you get the inside joke.
Yeah.
Yes, I like the more layers, the better. That's like my
Yeah.
mindset.
Because then you feel like you're part of like a smaller community when you're laughing at this thing together, as opposed to sort of it being a bit more sort of, I don't know, like
Facebook wall memes.
yeah.
Oh man. Like, well, for me, I love when there's like, haha, I get the joke, and then like, oh wait, there's another joke, haha, haha. There's that. That's the real joke. Is like the third level.
Yeah.
You know, it's like,
or like
those are my favorite ones.
yeah, I kind of like I feel like a good meme should be a format that you can deconstruct and then make meta jokes about the format to the point where it's like almost unrecognizable. And I think that makes a good meme, is like that flexibility. You get really forced stuff like I don't know, like I feel like the funniest shit I ever saw meme is kind of like one of those forced things where it's like
Yes, definitely.
like I
What
don't
about the pufferfish one?
what's that one? I don't think I've
The
heard of that one.
puffer. It's basically a guy preparing fugu, which is like a poisonous pufferfish, and he's making
Yeah.
it bite on a carrot, and it goes, It's so fucking stupid. But people went deep. They went deep with this one, and it ended up hitting like that level where it's like you're providing these memes without context. It's just like, what the actual fuck is this?
I think there's kind of like something. It's like community art is memes. Like I think there's actually something kind of amazing about like really high concept meta memes that I think is honestly like artistic. Like it's why I love surreal memes, because there's kind of like there's an aesthetic of like not giving a shit about them, but at the same time it is kind of like high art, because you're like saying like really high concept ideas and conveying like high concept ideas that are just like really stupid, but like it's still like connecting with an audience in a really funny way.
I just feel like they hit different than any other type of comedy that like you can watch. Like I can't think of like a show or a thing like hit like, I don't know, it's just such a unique stuff. Like I tried to like explain this stuff to like my mom before, because I'm like, I think it's a great test of like how will I understand something if I can explain it to someone who has no idea what that culture or thing is like. And that was one of the few things where it's like I don't know, it's like a I don't know how to explain it. It was like a click. It was like a generational rift. I felt.
Sip.
Not even sip.
Yes.
What is sip? What is that?
You guys wouldn't get it. It's very hipster meme. Now I'll send you there's a video.
Oh, I see.
There's a video that sums up the 3D heads memes, which is how to make like red sippy drink or something like that. I don't know. I'll find it later and send it to you. It's so dumb.
Okay. Hit me with the weird shit. I like the really weird stuff. Jake literally just sends me the strangest, most like, where the fuck did you find this? Like, he digs deep. Like, my whole friend group's like that. So that's where I just get all my memes from my friend groups now.
I love finding like those sub 100 view YouTube videos.
Yes.
Which are just like gold.
Oh my god. Okay, so you know what? Jake's gonna be pissed if he hears this. Our go-to video, whenever we're in a group chat and we have a new friend or just someone who's just like perusing the group, for example, like my sister, she'll join the group chat. She's not super well acquainted with internet culture. And immediately Jake goes to his soundboard and plays the infamous Squidward anal SpongeBob video. And it's a 9-second video of SpongeBob having anal sex with Squidward.
I don't think I've heard this one.
No, because no one's heard about this. Basically, it was like a very small, obscure video that Jake or my friend Ryan found on YouTube. Had maybe like 10,000 views, like a very small amount. And then they took it down, and we were like, we've just lost literally the group's greatest like prank meme. I don't know what you call it. Like, just like we just threw it on people without context. And then they found it, and they literally all have like saved files on our hard drives now to make sure this will never be lost.
Good.
And I'm overhyping this really fucking stupid meme. So.
Oh, hang on. I found it. Meme Man Jr. How to make sip. It was removed on his original channel, but someone re-uploaded it. Thank God.
I'll throw a link in the description for y'all.
It's not. It's probably not going to be funny for most people. They'll just be like, "What is this?"
In my day,
Don't
we
worry.
just had
Uh-oh.
YTMND.
Yeah, I was losing my shit over the like Lego Yoda crushes his cock and balls.
Oh my god. I'm sorry.
I
I love that one so much.
I mean, it's probably like transphobic or something, but like, I don't know, just
Is it? I think it's just kink shaming.
potentially. I don't know.
Because it's the whole like ball torture shit. We're going to the deep end with this one, guys. I'm sorry. Like, I can go really deep, but like, I don't want to scare you. Well, I really love my favorite Yoda meme lately is the help me find my dream girl.
Oh yes, yeah,
that
I know
was
the
so
one.
good.
I want to meet her.
Yes.
I would literally change everything about myself.
Oh man, I mean, it's like I'm single right now. That's not a move. Don't start DMing. No, but literally my friends will just hit me with that whenever now. I'm like, James, this is you right now. I'm like, yes, I aspire to be this man.
I think it's simp's a thing lately, isn't it? I think
Oh,
that's the definition of a simp.
I literally explained to that what a simp was to my mom today.
Yeah.
It was an interesting conversation.
Explain it to me. I read like random comments sometimes. People throw out terms, and I'm just like, I have no idea. I feel like you're insulting me about something, but I
do you want to crack at it?
I think simp is meant to describe a low value suck up kind of person. So like,
well, specifically for females, like them, like
yeah.
By
the way, I think I disagree with a lot of the shame people have been throwing at iDubbbz. And I don't know. I think that's just kind of like manufactured drama, to be honest. Like everyone getting
I haven't
upset
even heard
at
about
him.
this.
Yeah, everyone's calling iDubbbz a simp because his girlfriend has a OnlyFans account, so she like posts nudes of herself for money. And everyone's calling him a simp because he's okay with that. But honestly, I think that's not anyone else's business.
I don't think they've heard of swingers or any of kind of alternative relationships before then.
I'm just
I don't know.
getting too old for the internet.
Yeah. I will say you should learn sim. I think that one's not going away for a little bit. I think at least for the quarantine.
I'm
that's
sick.
sticking
I'm
around.
sick of it already. Like, I'm so over it.
I just learned about it like a few days ago, so I feel like
Yeah,
I'm
me
not there
too.
yet. Oh, yeah. Oh man.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know, it's like the clown emoji that everyone was replying to people they didn't like the opinions of on Twitter. It's like, I don't know, it's just like a go-to insult to use on people now.
That's a fair point. I stay away from those channels, I feel like. So for me, it's just like I see it when it's only used correctly and not just people spamming it constantly, which, yeah, that's literally how you kill things immediately.
Yep.
Like Soy Boy, that was like the big one. I think this is like the new Soy Boy.
Yeah,
If you guys
probably.
know that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that was actually that made it to an episode of Always Sunny. So I think that's where I heard that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I'm not surprised. It's Always Sunny's done, right? That's kiboshed.
Is
Is
it?
it?
I don't know. I'm asking because I never like actively. I would just watch random episodes. I would never like stay super. That's another great show, Quarantine, actually.
Yeah,
I don't think
Always
it's on
Sunny
Netflix
is really
anymore.
good. Skip the first season, I think. Like, start watching from the second season when Danny DeVito comes in, and then go back and watch the first season like later once you kind of understand
Go
the
back.
characters.
That's interesting.
Well, yeah. I wouldn't.
Never
Yeah.
thought about that.
I wouldn't skip it completely. There's some good ones in there.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think if you're introducing someone to this show, it's kind of one of those. It's like Arrested Development, where it kind of like takes a while for you to kind of get the characters, and then it's like hilarious.
I would
Because
skip,
it's
I would skip the first season of Parks and Rec.
Oh yeah.
They
I would skip
Yeah,
season
but it's like
4 and 5.
it's so
of Arrested
short.
Development.
Yeah, I think most people say that. Those are the two last ones, right? That's the joke.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
they lost their fire.
Yeah, I mean, I just for some reason like I enjoy those shows. I literally physically will enjoy watching these super episodic comedies, but I will never be able to stay like on board with them. Like I really need a serialized story for some reason to like stick on and commit. I don't know why.
I usually just rewatch old sitcoms from the 90s.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
I
Seinfeld.
watched Seinfeld.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm watching right now.
I'm from New York, so that's the first thing
Yeah.
that pops in my head.
Or like The
It's a good show.
Simpsons.
You know, literally Jerry Seinfeld and Larry David are like everywhere on Long Island. So
I do love Kirby.
Hey, do you
can't
guys-
see it.
Do you guys ever talk about SCP in this podcast?
No.
Yeah, sometimes.
No.
Well, I think literally it was you with Exploring Series. That was our big one where we just talked about like Halo and no, that was that was I can't believe I'm forgetting his name. I am so sorry. He's the one with the Doge face. Fuck, I can't believe I'm forgetting his name right
Eckert's
now.
Ladder?
Eckerd's Ladder, thank you.
Yeah.
Literally, I think 95% of that was just Star Wars and Halo. I don't know. I prefer the more freeform. So
I've
Well,
been getting
I feel-
into that kind of content lately, like Eckert's Ladder, and I've been watching a lot of Space Doc. Because like
No,
I
I
love
haven't Space Doc.
spaceships.
That's cool. I've been looking more about like cyberpunk robot reference and like visual art.
Okay.
There's a really good guy on Instagram, and he does spaceships too. Does these really interesting like spaceship designs? I'll throw a couple links your way. I feel like you might like
Yeah,
some
okay.
of this stuff.
Well, I will steer it back then and ask what your favorite
Go for
SCP is.
3001 Red Reality.
Hey,
Yeah.
wow.
That is my favorite.
Is that
as well.
everyone in here? I think
Yeah.
it's all three of us.
Nice.
It's so good. Written by
is.
it's written by the guy who did the Dragons as well, right?
I actually don't know.
I'm pretty like that's how I found it. I'm pretty sure is I was like, like the Dragons is pretty good. I'll see what else this author has written, and I was like, Red Reality. I'll read this, and yeah, it's like the only SCP that I think, sort of consistently makes me emotional, like reading
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so brutal, especially at the end. Like I know it's kind of a meme now with like the Dragons, where it's like, oh, it's so sad. But honestly, like I feel like people, like even when I make a video that's like positive about the Dragons, everyone still comments like, oh, it made me cry.
Of course.
And it's like, yeah, I feel like it's almost like people just kind of almost post that because it's just what everyone says about it.
Which-
But I feel like Red Reality is the one that really hits hard for me.
Read the comments for my Red Reality video. That was like the most like wow, I've like actually affected. I feel it was the first time I've affected someone emotionally in in some way with a video.
It's always a good feeling when like you have someone comment like made me cry.
Yeah,
I hate sad endings.
A lot of I can't go to sleep tonight, which was good. That's the video that I'm pissed I fucked up the hard limiter on. So I'm actually heavily debating doing a recut too, because a lot of people are like, I'm not gonna sit through an hour long video.
It is pretty long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I do want people to appreciate it. And then but I'm actually curious. Have you guys read 5000? Well, I'm sure Exploring Series has.
Yeah, I did.
I
did a video on it, so I skimmed it a little bit.
But I think that's one of my new favorites. I need to read more of the new series, but I think like I heavily recommend that one. It basically is about the SCP Foundation all of a sudden starts like its main goal is to annihilate humanity, and it starts releasing it's like actively fighting the GOC and like the entire like US and then the entire world.
Okay.
It's a cool one.
5000's good. I really like 5002, which is a death and containment. It's basically just like a murder mystery in an SCP facility.
Ooh, that sounds fun.
Yeah.
I'm gonna add that to the list.
I think I really love like high concept science fiction stuff. So I don't remember the number, but there's an SCP which I think it's in a Russian town somewhere. There's
Flash that Hates.
I'm not sure. No, I don't think it's that one. No. So it's basically the idea is that there's an anomaly that it just doesn't exist. Like there's an area of space that doesn't exist.
Pattern Screamer.
And is that the one?
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, and like but like you like people like people's brains like literally can't accept the fact that there's nothing there. So it ends up being an amalgamation of like group consciousness is like like people will walk into it and disappear completely because there's nothing there, but like the log will still keep going as if they do exist, I guess, because like everyone's group consciousness kind of like puts something in there and it's kind of like alludes to this like hateful nature of it. It's really interesting, and like that kind of stuff is like
Have you seen my video on pattern screamers?
I don't think I have, sorry.
That I think that SCP 3930 is actually titled Pattern Screamer. But there's a bunch of them that sort of go into that whole concept of like these entities that just like are basically holes in reality that it came from some other existence. It's really like that was one of the hardest things to actually explain. And even afterwards, I'm like, do I even know what the hell I just was talking about? But yeah, pattern screamers are cool.
I gotta read that one.
And I'll just skim it and see if it's the one that I was thinking of. Yeah, that's the one. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it does not exist.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. I mean, I feel like my first like high concept, I don't know if you consider this high concept, but like the ending of Neon Genesis Evangelion really threw me for a loop. I saw that when I was like 13 and I was not ready for that.
Did you see End of Evangelion after it?
Yes, that's one of my favorite films.
Yeah. It's one of my favorite films too. Like that is I mean, you know, besides like the opening, which is like kind of horrific. It's some of like the stuff with like Asuka fighting the Evangelion production units.
Every time.
That movie is the reason for the music that I used in the janitor, because oh
really?
Yeah, I watched that movie and I watched 2001, and I was like, oh well, they can just use classical music, and like you can find royalty-free recordings of some of this stuff, and so I was like, oh, I want some music to this, so I'll just steal from Neon Genesis Evangelion and use Air on the G string.
Wow.
Because it like cool. I don't know. Yeah, it's just like a cheap way to make it seem like you're more sophisticated than you are.
Well, I was shocked. I really wanted to use Lacrimosa, and I feel like anything with like operatic vocals, it's so hard to get like a free version of that.
I used
very depressing.
I used Claire de Lune in SCP, the Dragons.
I was going to compliment you on that.
That's a nice
Yeah.
touch.
That's my favorite
That's
piece of
it's a
classical music.
Yeah, I mean it's
Debussy.
pretty cliche at the moment, but I don't know. I felt
Yes.
like it just fit well.
It was weird that it kind of became a meme because of like Filthy Frank and a bunch of YouTubers using it for every single
See?
like ironically sad
Why
scene.
I don't look into that world.
So,
I can just
yeah.
enjoy things.
But hey, it opened a whole new generation to that era of music, if you want to look at it that way.
I suppose so.
Yeah, that's something I've been trying to pay attention to more too. Is like that feeds into the audio stuff, but music is like, it can add so much and accentuate so much, like emotionally in a scene. Like one game, this is actually a game, but one game I love so much. Literally half the reason I love this game is because if you know Katamari Damacy, half the reason I love that game is because of the music. It's got like this really strange like Japanese pop, offbeat like pop music throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
And like each level's got like samba. It's like world music where it's got like little things of everything, and that just alone adds so much to the game. And it's like I feel like it's hard when I don't have access to a whole orchestra. I don't have access to a ton of musicians trying to like figure out how do I like pull inspiration. But I feel like that's a really easy, quick, dirty kind of way of just like
I used
there's
to
free classical music online.
I used to make like fan trailers for video games.
Yeah.
Just like cutting up a bunch of official trailers and putting in a song and stuff, and it's just absolutely. Like the right song completely makes everything work, and the wrong song just it all falls apart.
Oh, big time.
Again, Battlestar Galactica has an amazing soundtrack.
Bear
Bear
McCreary.
the guy that, he did. He's done so much stuff.
Yeah.
These days, he did Walking Dead. He did the new Godzilla movies. He
really?
did 10 Cloverfield Lane.
It's a good one.
He's all over the place now. But his sort of, I think his like breakout thing was Battlestar Galactica, and I still think it's some of his best work. Because it's a lot of the soundtrack is like battle like taiko drums, but then there are also these like amazing like string like songs of like violins and cellos and stuff and piano that are just like beautiful and really like elevate the show a lot, and are also just great to listen to on their own.
I can't believe I've been sleeping on this for so long.
Oh yeah, it's good.
Like I'm pretty shocked. I mean, like one thing I've been really trying to do is like get into reading like classic sci-fi, like the big cornerstones. So like the next big, I know it's kind of a big series to jump into, but and no, not Dune, which I do want to read eventually.
I've
But,
got Dune on my shelf.
I think
Hyperion.
everyone has Dune on their shelf.
Yeah, everyone has. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm waiting. I can't find a nice hardcover of Dune, so that's why I haven't bought it. But Hyperion too. That's like the really big one. That's like really high concept, really strange, really alien. I don't know if I can give a synopsis really, but it's basically, I think it's about this basically new like universe or world that this like human is tasked with exploring, this alien world, and it's supposed to be one of the best representations of like this completely truly alien society that doesn't even remotely resemble like what we know. I know I find that stuff really fascinating.
I recently got into a Chinese author called I don't know how to pronounce his name, but it's like Cixin Liu. I probably botched that, but
Do you wanna spell it out?
Cixin Liu Liu.
Okay.
And I think it's backwards too from what it's meant to be in the original Chinese format. But he wrote a book called Three Body Problem. And it's actually the first in a trilogy of books. And that trilogy is the most like insane, like hard sci-fi, high concept stuff that I've ever read. Like it's really, really cool. Like the first book is kind of like plays off like a science fiction like mystery thriller, but by the end of the series it's like jumping generations and like talking about like,
Oh man.
like societal philosophy and like
Fuck yeah.
like galaxy level physics, like universe level physics. It's really, really cool. Like I started like the way it talks about like 4-dimensional stuff in some of the later books is really cool. I don't know, or like I don't know. It's one of those things too that like I can't talk too much about it without spoiling it, because part of the fun of reading it is like discovering just how far the story like evolves and how big the scope gets as it goes, and like how that happens. But the basic setup is like there's an alien race coming to basically take over Earth and steal its resources. But the difference with this is like it's the way that he writes it is he writes not so much about like individual people and characters, but it's more about like a mix of philosophy and physics. So in his stories, like humanity will be shown like a problem, and then sort of everyone will come up with their own sort of philosophical responses to that problem. Like if you want to do a taster, there's a short story called The Wandering Earth, which is only like 50 pages long. Yeah, there was a really big budget movie, Chinese movie made for it a couple of years back, which is actually pretty good. But I just read the short story the other day, and the short story is way better. Just because like it's just the scale of it is amazing, and just really gets me like thinking about stuff in a way that not a lot of other books do.
Well, I'm actually curious. Is this one of those like? So I know there's a lot of like online web novels written by Chinese authors. Is it that, or is it published? This is published work.
No, it's published. Like you can buy 3 Body Problem at most bookstores probably, 'cause it's like a Hugo Award winner.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So that is something I'm thinking about. Like I visited Shanghai a couple years ago, and I have a friend in China, and one thing I think about is like how well can like hard sci-fi or just like high concept stuff that really questions like humans and like human society and civilization and things that kind of question like maybe communist China's system isn't the best system, you know, things like that. Like I'm curious how much they can get away with as long as it's in another world, in an alternate. Like I'm surprised that like something like that was greenlit and no problems.
Yeah, well, it's the first book even talks a bit about the what was it, the civil war that they had, or like the revolution that they had in the 60s, I think. Oh,
that's the Cultural Revolution with Mao.
Yeah, the Cultural Revolution. That's what I'm thinking of. Yeah, so like the start of the book starts off with the Cultural Revolution and like takes it up to present day.
That's really cool. Wow. Yeah, I gotta check this out.
Yeah, it's awesome. If that's the kind of stuff that you're into.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like all right, if anyone's bored after this podcast, like we've given you so much stuff to check out. Like
yeah.
Really.
Yeah, I've also been reading, like, for a while I was, like, reading through a lot of Cornerstone sci-fi stuff. So, like, I read Foundation, I read Scanner Darkly, Fahrenheit 451. It's really, really good. The writing style of that is just delicious.
It's Ray Bradbury, right?
Yeah. It was his first novel. Before that, he was a poet. And, like, you can really
I didn't know it was
it.
his first. Wow.
Yeah.
How was How was Foundation?
Foundation? I would say it's similar to 3 Body Problem in the kind of style where it's about large groups of people trying to deal with a very complex issue. In this case, in Foundation, it's kind of like it's about people who are super advanced with maths, dealing with like future issues that will like face society at like a galactic level. So it's kind of similar to that. I think I preferred 3 Body Problem.
Okay.
Just because with Foundation it's sort of like done as almost like a series of short stories where there's kind of like the ending is always kind of like a clever, but it's usually like a Deus Ex Machina kind of thing where it's like, oh well, we planned for this too, but it's still really interesting and very clever, and you can tell that like Isaac Newton was, you know, like a polymath, like
Asimov.
Asimov. Why did I say Newton?
Isaac
Cut
Newton.
that. Yeah.
I was like, what?
Isaac Asimov. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's a really clever guy writing really clever stories. They are a bit dry though, I think, is
They
the
can
only
be,
thing I would
yeah.
say about Foundation.
Okay.
That's is iRobot included in that, or is that a separate
That's a separate
collection?
thing. Like
Okay, so I
yeah,
read that collection.
Yeah. Yeah.
You should also. Do you guys know Ted Chiang? He did Arrival.
No, don't know that. I've
so
seen the movie.
The movie's fantastic. I heard the book is as good or even better. But one thing I've been really wanting to read is he has a whole book of short stories called Story of Your Life. And I think they're all related with like time. I could be wrong. But that's like my next big thing I've been wanting to read. Because I feel like I really, really am drawn to his stuff. There's like something very grounded and human, I feel like, with his stories. And I feel like me and my friend were talking about this, but I feel like a lot of bad sci-fi, the big issue with it is no one feels human. Nothing feels like, it feels too clinical or almost just too like out there or messy and sloppy. But I feel like the first thing that gets lost is the fact that there are characters in a story. So I feel like he really he builds the sci-fi out of the characters itself, ground up. So I feel like it's just good to like study that and chew on that.
Speaking of Arrival, I've been wanting to read Roadside Picnic, which is what Stalker was based on. Because yeah, I watched through Tarkovsky's Stalker, the big art film from the 80s.
I couldn't
That's a
handle
tough
that
one.
movie.
Yeah, I haven't watched it yet, but
I had to watch it in 2 sittings, because it's long and it's very. I describe it as hypnotic. The imagery is beautiful. I don't really understand what's going on most of the time in the movie.
Yeah.
And I feel like to really get into it, you really have to sort of like shut out every other distraction and just really focus on it for a while.
I finished
yeah,
it and I
it's
was
kind
just like, I'm too stupid for whatever this is.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's a super enjoyable movie, but it's a very interesting movie. I think just visually alone, it's like pretty gorgeous to look at.
Yeah, that I did appreciate.
Yeah, it's one of the most like beautiful looking movies I think I've ever seen. Like I don't know what it is about it. Like I can't put my finger on it, but just like every shot has this kind of painterly feeling to it. Like there's so much texture to everything.
Yeah, that's his thing. That's his big focus. I was reading about. And that's something I have been really trying to dig in and focus on too. So I should definitely watch it. Well, is it one of those films? Because I feel like if you start watching a lot of movies, you'll start to get these slower burn, really dense movies that they're a bit challenging to watch, but then they're literally more enjoyable after you watched them. Like just talking about it and picking it apart. Is it like kind of one of those movies?
Yeah, in some ways, yeah, I think so. Because I think there is a lot to talk about the movie itself. I don't really want to get into it too much.
Yeah, that's a deep dive.
Yeah. But yeah, I would say it's one of those movies that's sort of more interesting to pick apart. I don't know. I don't want to say it's like it's an experience, but it is kind of like an experiential kind of movie. Where you kind of watch it, like you'd walk into an art gallery and look at a piece of art, where it's like you don't necessarily have. It's not like a kind of reaction to it that you might understand really, but you do have a reaction to it. Like I said, it's a hypnotic film. Like it's everything's drawn out and in a way that's meant to like kind of hypnotize you while you're watching it.
Don't go in thinking that it's like the Stalker video games.
Yeah. Basically just take a lot of drugs and watch Stalker is what I'm saying.
I feel like dropping acid would be a very bad idea watching Stalker. But who knows?
Or a very good idea? I don't know.
Yeah, you never know. Depends what kind of person you are. I mean, is it kind of like, I don't know if you've seen much of Werner Herzog, but I feel like his videos, my God, his films have a lot of like this really weird atmospheric, like hypnotic feel, which I actually can't stand. I like respect him a lot, but like I tried watching his Nosferatu film and it just gets painful. And I feel like he almost starts losing you at some certain points, but he's interesting in general.
There's a lot of older movies that have very slow burn, have like a very slow burn to them that are, I know a couple more contemporary ones, but I can't think of them right now.
I say Lighthouse was a really great one. Like, I don't actually
still need to
that
watch
slow.
Lighthouse.
I did like
I watched
Lighthouse.
Parasite.
You did like a Lighthouse?
Oh, yeah, I saw it in theater. It was really cool.
I feel like it would very... I haven't seen it, but I feel like it'd be very applicable with us all in like lockdown and isolation.
Yeah, actually, though.
Yeah.
Oh, man. It's bad luck to kill a seagull.
It's definitely,
seabird.
It's definitely
I
a
already fucked that
strange
line up.
movie, but...
I really, really, really want to watch that one again,
Like-
but in theaters, and it was too late, so...
Everything about it is so well done.
I have not seen The Witch. That's the same writer and director, I think,
Yeah,
as The Witch.
yeah.
For those
Oh,
wondering.
Love The
I have
Witch.
seen The Witch. That movie made me extremely uncomfortable.
Good.
that's on my
That was
list,
the
too.
plan, I'm sure.
Oh, what was your guys' opinion on Hereditary? Did you see Hereditary?
I actually
yeah.
liked Hereditary a
Yeah.
lot. I didn't
I
find it
loved it.
scary, but I loved it. Like, I didn't find it... I found it thrilling, not scary.
You didn't
if that
think it
makes
was
sense.
scary.
No, not really.
I was
Yeah, I
freaked
don't
out
know.
by it.
What do you...
I found it like energizing, like exciting.
Well, what do you consider
Um,
a scary movie?
I've actually thinking about this a lot because I feel like I was talking to my sister about like I've consumed so much weird horror, creepy, like disturbing art and stuff. I'm like getting a bit desensitized in a weird way.
Sure.
I think that sometimes too, but then like I watched that scene from what's it called? Bonesaw Tomahawk.
Oh, God.
Is that
Oh no.
Love that movie,
Oh.
but yeah, that's a rough scene.
No.
I felt sick. Like
No.
that was
I hate gore shit though. Like I hate like
Yeah.
I can't watch people dying. I can't do that shit.
I think what do you call it? Like gore porn.
Yeah.
I fucking hate that.
That kind of stuff is really sort of, I don't know. I think it taps a bit too much into like the gruesome side of human minds for me.
Well, actually, I did watch something recently that Jake recommended. It's this really, it's like the cheapest like animated TV series I've seen ever, called Yami Shibai, which is Japanese ghost stories, and they're basically these each episode's like maybe 4 or 5 minutes, and there's just these really simple, creepy ghost stories, and like for me, paranormal ghost stuff is what hits me.
If I can recommend, if you want some good horror content, read Junji Ito.
Yes, I literally have Uzumaki
Yeah.
and Tomei right in front of me.
Uzumaki is great.
Yeah. I haven't read Uzumaki yet, but Tomei is really good too.
If you want a taster, read the what is it? The Amigara Fault.
Yeah, Amigara
Yeah.
Fault. That's the most famous
Yeah.
one. So
It's I think it's tacked on to the end of Gyo.
oh, it is. Yeah, I haven't gotten.
Yeah. But yeah, usually you can just find it on like Imgur or whatever. But yeah, if you like that and it like freaks you out, then yeah, Junji Ito's got so much work. Read Uzumaki is probably like his magnum opus, but
Yeah, and read it before the new series comes out. They're making I actually have hope for that animated series. I have hope
yeah,
for
Adult
it.
Swim and is it Toonami?
I think so. Yeah,
Yeah, they're doing an adaptation that actually looks pretty good.
it does. I really hope they're able to pull it off because
Yeah.
God, that last Junji Ito anime was horrible.
Yeah, I heard.
Oh,
I watched the Super Eye
painful.
Patch Wolf video about it.
yeah, same actually. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's good.
Yeah, if for people listening, like Junji Ito is a manga artist who specializes in horror manga, basically. His work is usually there's a lot of body horror, and it's also very H.P. Lovecraft inspired as well. So it's sort of like that supernatural, otherworldly kind of horror to it as well. Like Uzumaki is like a 20-something chapter manga, which it's basically about a town that's been infested with spirals, and it's super horrific. There's some like genuinely shocking stuff in it, like genuinely like unsettling imagery, but it's good.
It's good. Yeah, definitely check that one out.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm not gonna try to explain him anymore. Just check it out, watch it, read it.
All of his work is really short too, so you can like pick up and read different stories, and they're pretty good.
Yeah. So we're hitting 2 hours soon. So I guess we'll wrap this baby up.
Yep.
Anything you want to shout out? Anything fun you're working on? Anything cool coming up?
My last piece of freelance work that I've done before all of this, before like all of the coronavirus stuff hit, was I've just finished it. Is a series for bloopanimation.com. It's a website called Bloop Animation. They do animation tutorial courses. I should have mentioned this earlier to plug myself, but I've just made a series for them called Stop Motion Animation that'll be going up in about a week or so. So if you want to learn to make stop motion using Dragon Frame, then I've just made a 2-hour long tutorial series that'll be available on Bloop. So yeah.
Cool. Is that kind of like
plug.
like Skillshare, those kind of sites?
Yeah, except this one's like specifically geared towards animation. Whereas Skillshare, I think, feels more like a crowdsourced sort of thing. This one's a bit more curated.
That's cool. I'm surprised they haven't sponsored more animated YouTubers, but maybe I haven't been looking.
They did one for Alan Becker, the guy who does Animator versus Animation a while back.
Okay.
And that's how I knew they were legit, because like I'd followed that creator and like I was almost gonna buy that, that animation course. And then they emailed me and were like, yo, you want to teach people how to do dragon stop motion? And I was like, yeah, sure.
Awesome. And like I guess a lot of people are probably wondering this, where's the YouTube channel at? Is it kind of just you'll get to it when you have time, or is it more just who knows?
Yeah, so I don't know. Like I have had with my YouTube channel, it's kind of very sporadic. I've never really had like an upload schedule, or like when I've tried to do upload schedules, they never really work for very long. And I think it's because like I'm an animation-based YouTube channel, so it takes a lot of time to do animations. Also, the last 2 or 3 years especially have been pretty sort of not great in some ways, like personally. Like I had a lot of like mental health stuff that I went through that I've kind of come out the other end of now. So I don't know if I'll do I don't know if I'll do more Lego SCP animations. I'm thinking I don't really want to jinx myself, but I do want to move more into 2D animation. My sort of like dream goal at the moment is I want to make a show that'll like rival SCP Confinement.
Yeah,
being, like,
go for it.
Like SCP based like 2D animation show, because I don't know, I feel like working on Bung stuff, I was like, hey, I could probably like do my own thing if I wanted to. So yeah, I've actually been thinking a lot about adapting the janitor character for like a full-on series, and I've got a lot of ideas about that. It'd just be about figuring out what the individual stories are, and then also like I've really got to brush up a lot on like my drawing skills and my character design skills, because I'm not very good at that side of things.
Let's kick ass. Oh yeah, that's
exciting.
exciting.
I'm hoping I can do that. I don't know. We'll see how I go during the lockdown. I've got plenty of time now, so
yeah, that's true.
Give it a go.
Can't ask for a better reason. Well, thank you for coming on, man. It was good talking to you.
It was good talking to you guys too.
Yeah.
Fun.
All right. Well, thanks for watching, guys. Stay tuned. I'm hoping we'll be able to crank a few more quarantine podcasts out for you. So stay tuned. Thanks, guys.